Hey everyone, so I haven't been showing a lot of love to the PowerShell tutorial videos, so chapter 12, functions. We're going to jump into that. And again, thanks to GoKicker and I believe the Stack community for building this document. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, so I'm just going to reuse that document. I hope you don't mind. And we'll just keep trucking on through, and I'm going to do my best to explain this this particular chapter. So here we go. Now, let me just actually pull up the document. So let's see, chapter 12. Okay. So when we're looking at functions, there's many ways to write a function. Let me just show you just the basics, right? You want to have a function, right? Start off with function, and then you want to say a name. I'm going to use ping, and then from there, we're just going to put some open and close parentheses, and we're going to put some curly braces, and that's it. Now we're going to return pong. Now remember, this right here is the same thing as write output, okay? And we're going to take this, we're going to run the function, but it doesn't actually, it just kind of loads it, but it doesn't really run it. Now when we want to run it, we have to call the actual name that you specify, which in this case it's ping, and then pong gets returned. Does that make sense? So that kind of covers just a basic function, but usually with a function you want to provide input and get some result back and inject into a variable or do something with it, okay? So in that case, there's many ways to write it. The simple way is just something like this. Okay, I'm just going to copy this, paste it, and we're going to run it. And then from there, we're then going to write greeting is the command. So as you can see, what happened? Well, it was expecting some elements, some input, right? It was expecting a name property and an age. And we didn't provide it, so it was just blank. What we need to do now is to write greeting and provide, and by default, you can actually just put Jing and age is 20. And there you go, right? Now, the other way to write it, and this is the recommended way, because you want to strictly specify that the name is going to be a string and age is going to be an integer. You also want to say, if you're expecting it to be something that you require, have the mandatory field so that the function won't run if that value is not provided. Okay. The position and parameter is going to be helpful if you want to strictly specify that position. But by default, it kind of goes in the order you built those parameters. So let's copy and paste this one, and I'll show you what it is. So we'll run it, and then we're going to do write greeting. And as you can see, it's requiring the name. It's actually requiring an input for me to plug in. And then here you go. If I do this and I do something like name is 20 and age is Jing, well, it doesn't run because it was expecting the name to be a string and the age to be a number. I did not provide it the required value type it was looking for, or the property type, and it doesn't run. Simple as that. Okay. So again, when you write your function, you want to have the function, you want to have a name of your function, and you want to write it with a verb noun. In PowerShell, it's always that verb noun, remember, okay? So write greeting, okay? And if you want, just type in get verb, and you can get a list of verbs. It recommends as the verb. The noun, it's pretty much what you want there, okay? And then from there, you want to do some curly braces to open and close, and then specify param for the parameters that's going to be used in the function. You want to then specify parameter, mandatory. Position, you don't have to, but it's always good to specify the positions and specify in detail what you're looking for and where that position is so you know exactly what you're looking for. And then if it's a string or integer or a hash table, you want to specify that and then the name. Okay? It's pretty simple. Okay? And again, with a function, it's something that you want to use when you want to repeatedly calculate something or use the same function for a number of commands and not have to always just keep typing it. You use the function and just call it and provide the parameters. Yeah, exactly like we said, you can specify the just specify name and 82 or strictly specify the name and age like we just did. Advanced function. So if you want your function to be very helpful, then you want to comment it, right? You're going to have to comment and follow the structure because that is the way get help works. It'll read it and then provide that information. Okay. Let's see. The commandlet bindings. You always want to turn on commandlet bindings when you build your function. It's just always helpful to leverage those commandlets. Not going to jump too much into it on these commandlets, but because it's more advanced, I just want you to understand functions, and I don't want to confuse you too much. For parameters, let me just highlight some things. So again, this is mandatory. There's times when you want to provide the value from a pipeline, and I don't really use this value pipeline by property name, but you can also provide it by property name. Value from remaining arguments. So let's say you provide multiple arguments or multiple values, and this could be this particular parameter could be something that takes all the leftover stuff, the residual stuff, and does something with it. Validate if not null. So validation is always helpful to want to validate that data set, right? If you are expecting data to come a certain way, it's always good to validate it before you run that function, right? Otherwise, you kind of error. You send an error, or you send some kind of helpful message saying, it didn't validate or it didn't meet the, input that you were looking for. I'm going to skip it for now. You can always look these up, but I don't want to confuse you too much. So also, when you write a function, you can start with you can start with a begin. You then start with a process, and then you start with an end. Okay? You don't actually have to do this, but if you're looking to run some commands prior to actually processing your function, and then after everything processes, you have in your end returning the results or anything like that, you would run it kind of in this flow. Okay, you don't have to, but it kind of structures your function in a way, and it's always good to build your functions correctly so that it reduces errors right later on. All right, let's go into 12.3, mandatory parameters. So again, we talked about it. If a parameter is required to be mandatory, then it won't run unless it gets that value. Okay, so I think you saw the example already, so I'm not going to show you again. But if you're expecting something and you need it for the function, then specify that mandatory value is true. Okay. If the function is invoked without a value, the command line will prompt for a value. Right. 12.4, parameter validation. So exactly like it says, you want to validate the parameter. So we'll do a particular scenario there. So if we just copy this and then we'll do function, let's do color. We'll do color test. We'll do test. I'll try to do something like that. And then we'll do param. Okay. And we'll do validate set. String is expected is color. and we're going to close the param statement. And then from there, now that we get the color, return the color is color. Let's run it. And then test color. The color is blank. Okay. Now, test color. We do red. Color is red, black. It doesn't work. So it's expecting value to be either red, green, or blue. Okay. So if I put green, then it will run. But if I put something green with an extra character, it won't run. So if you're expecting value to be a certain way, then validating the set's always helpful. Okay. Validate range. So if you're expecting values to be a certain range, in this example age, then it's the same premise. You want it to be within the min or the max. Validate pattern. This method of parameter validation accepts parameters that match the regular expression specified. So this is interesting. So you can actually validate based off regular expression. So let's put something like this, and we do test username, return username is username. Okay, let's run it, and we'll do test username. Now, let's put something in here. Doesn't work. This regular expression, and I don't want to go confuse you too much, but we want to validate that regular expression pattern. Regular expression, again, is very powerful, does a lot of cool stuff, but with regular expression, it's a little tricky. You better know what you're doing, because you might do more damage than good sometimes. So, but in this case, a /w means a letter. It needs to be 4 to 6 characters, and then the /d right here is basically means a digit, and then 2 digits. Does that make sense? So I need 4 to 6 letter characters, and then after that, 2 digits. So let's try to meet the requirements. Let's put Jing, and then so test username, and then we do let's do Bob 22. Doesn't meet the requirement. Bobby 22 still doesn't meet the requirement. Bobby. Let's try. That doesn't meet the requirement. I thought that's a word. 4 to 6. 4 through 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 6. And then digit is 22. 2. Did I do it wrong? Regular expression tester. Let me pull up a regular expression tester and put that thing there. I feel like that works. Let's put it here. So Bob 22. No, doesn't match. W matches any word character equal to A to Z. Matches the characters 4 to 6. Matches the characters 4 to 6. Literal case sensitive. Oh. Okay. I think it wasn't written. It wasn't written right. Someone needs to correct that. Okay. Let's do this. 4 to 6 digits. Then we run this, and now it works. Okay, so it wasn't written right. Someone sent a note, but this one shouldn't be a dash. It should be a comma. 4 to 6, and then from there, the digit. Okay. Cool. So again, 4 to 6, you're expecting 4, so I can literally go Bob 22 won't work, but Bob will work. Okay. All right. Ooh. Validate length. So this is just, you're expecting a length to be a certain way, so this way you validate it. Validate count is testing the amount of arguments passed in, for example, an array of strings. So, oh, that's interesting. Validate count. So let me show you an example. Let me copy it real quick. Let me pop this back open, copy this parameter, put it here, and we'll call this test count, and then count is okay. So run this, and then we want to test count. Let me look at the function. Test count. Computer name. So what this means is computer equals, let's do an array of strings. So let's do computer 1, computer 2, computer 3, and that's 3 computers. Okay, so let me verify that, and then we're gonna put that, and we're going to do test count computer. Actually, I think I'll just provide it. Okay, so basically an array, and if it has too much, it doesn't meet it. So if you're expecting the array to have a certain number of strings, then you can kind of set that count limit, okay? Because you do computer count, you get 3, right? Now if you set this to a higher number, what do you think will happen? It will work. See? All right, next one, validate script. Taking script block, evaluating using to represent a past argument, then it passes the argument if the result is true. To test if a file exists. Test path. Okay, so this one just kind of validates the actual script and see if the result is true. Pretty much anything you can write as a not restricted one-liner. So validate script. So it's really just testing the script, and then if it is true, then it allows the function to run. Okay. Simple function with no parameters. Oh yeah, so we kind of wrote that away with the ping pong. Everyone, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. I'm going to be trying to pump through all these videos as much as I can, so just it'll also be helpful to get alerted when I post new videos. You might see other topics like KQL or other areas I'm interested in along with the PowerShell, so just keep your eyes open for the PowerShell stuff coming in. Okay, and thank you for watching. Have a good day.